I guess as we sit here, kind of going across the board, we got Florida up 2-0. Boston took their lead 2-1 yesterday. The Rangers are all over Washington. Carolina up 2-0, but needed a little bit of drama to get there. Right. Dallas falls down 2-0. Colorado came back with a big one in game 2. Vancouver's even at 1. Edmonton last night loses. I guess biggest surprise, anything there it's so early on to be Dallas, shocked, but I guess early on anything kind of caught you by surprise.
Dallas for me.
Yeah.
I thought Dallas is such a complete team. The problem is Vegas has this aura around them now. They are an intimidating team. And they play well, and they're really well coached, and they kind of don't have any weaknesses. But it's like now people are intimidated by, like, well, Mark Stone just showed up, and Hurdle just showed up. Like
Martinez,
like Hurdle's a good player, but does he make your top 50 list? He's a good player. Like I think he's a good player. Mark Stone, I think, is an absolute beast, and but like I look at the depth of that group, it's very balanced. But what you need to do is you got to beat them at their own game. Like they're bullies in a good way. They play hard. They've got skill, and they've got a really good mobile D. But for some reason, when I watched Dallas this year live, like they had no weakness either. The goalie was really good. Heiskanen, if Heiskanen played north of the border, everyone would be talking like that would be Quinn Hughes. That's basically what they'd be talking about,
It's a bit much. Quinn's having like the monster season.
He's a
top 5, 10 D.
Okay.
Sure.
Quinn's having an amazing season, but I'm
landslide Norris.
Exaggerating to make a point, Ryan. Goodness.
I would never.
My point being is when you're south of the border and you're Dallas, it's a niche market. You're not getting the love that you deserve. And I think they're a really good team. They just haven't found it, and Vegas has found it.
I watched that game last night. To me, Dallas looked like they were running and chasing the whole game.
And what was weird is Vegas had 8 shots at the halfway point of the hockey game. It's not as though they were running Dallas out of the rink, but you're right, Retro. It just, whether it's a mental thing, but there's something to Vegas.
Yeah.
When you start squeezing, you white knuckle it a little bit. These guys know how to win. Do we know how to win? They've been there before. Have we been here before? Damn it.
Didn't it feel like the Oilers series a bit when you watched? You're like, how does this high-powered offense of the Oilers just suddenly look frazzled? That's what Dallas looks like right now.
Well,
Vegas just has them fighting just to get chances.
That you're right. Against the Oilers against Vegas last year, Vegas just outstructured them.
Yeah.
And then last night, to me, I was at the game Monday night, and that wasn't a 7-4 game. 3 goals, like 2 goals went in off a skate on Skinner, and then 1 Cody Ceci stick breaks, and I don't know what the hell he was doing. He just put it on the guy's stick and a 2-on-1 back door. But Skinner, I thought, played very well that opening game. Last night, I thought he was very bad. I thought he was the difference in a negative way, unfortunately, because Edmonton, I attributed their loss to 2 things. They're reading their press clippings. Not there is press clippings anymore, but you know what I mean. They're reading the hype. They run him out of the building in the first game, and they just think LA is going to just pack it in. You knew LA was going to have a response, and they started slow. Now you give up 3 goals on 7 shots. I thought Kempe played well. I thought that top line at LA played very well, but I thought Skinner allowed 2, maybe 3 bad goals.
He didn't think so. He was asked post-game, and he said, I didn't think I had any effect on the outcome of the game, which I almost spit-taked on my table.
Honestly, I don't mind. Like Connor Hellebuck give up a touchdown, and he's like, it felt great. It's fine. Like, to me, Stuart Skinner can say anything he wants, but what he needs to do is back it up with play. And, I think that's why I was saying, like, everyone's like, yeah, you've given up 9 goals in 2 games. No, you can't challenge the stats, but I am going to say context, because there hasn't been a lot of bad goals. Like game 1, there was 3 fluky goals, and it is what it is. That was a throwaway game. At no point was LA in that game game 1.
Yeah.
Last night was a different story. Last night, LA pushed back, and then Edmonton got rolling from the second period on. They were the better team. And for me, the turning point was the glove save on Draisaitl on the power play at 3-3. Because that's the dagger goal right there. Because LA had no response in that second period. Edmonton was all over them. They tied the game. And then Draisaitl on the back door has what I would call like that's a layup for him. What a play by McDavid. And Talbot reads it, gets the glove on it. And that I kept thinking that save might have a ripple effect. And then sure enough, early in the third, that was a bad goal from the wall, but 73, that mutant defenseman there, what's his name? Desharnais. But get the hell out of the way. If you actually look at the replay from Skinner's standpoint, Byfield's there. Desharnais at the last second skates through the screen, and you look, Skinner actually looks to go around him, and that's where he loses sight of the shot, because you shouldn't score from there. Fiala, that's a muffin. Like it's a rolling puck. And then, Kopitar in overtime, that's a great shot, but you need a save. It's just a clear-sighted shot. I didn't think Skinner was very good last night, but I am looking for a response. And if you ask me, Edmonton's the better team.
No question.
But they got to play better and play more structured and right from the drop of the puck, because I thought they had a slow start. It was almost like they put their gear on expecting to win and didn't want to put the work in until it was a bit too late.
They were the better team for most of the 7 periods we saw, and they lose home ice and are split. I still think they win the series, but they missed potentially an opportunity to make this a short series. And if LA wins one more, that's another 2 flights they add to their itinerary. One to get back to LA for game 6, another to get back home if they can win it, or not. They're going to have a game 7. I mean, that feels like a huge missed opportunity where this path in the Pacific looks so clear. This could have been a short series, and it might not be now.
I agree but I was saying it all along. I don't think LA is a slouch. Like, I think that, if you look on paper, they've got some players like Fiala, Moore, Byfield's a player. Like, we always just think, Kopitar and Doughty. It's kind of like Dallas. It's with Sagan and Ben. Those guys are farther down in the roster. What you're looking for is the next wave of players to push through. Talbot was always the question mark for me. They can get to him. I mean, they've scored 7. It's been 11 goals in 2 games on him. So, they could score on him, but can they keep it out of their net? That's the biggest question mark. And to me, Edmonton looked really dialed in game 1, and it looked dialed in for 2 periods last night, but they come up short.
So big picture on Skinner. He's a nice story. He's homegrown. He's a pick that was developed in Bakersfield. They went and got Jack Campbell to come in and be the 1A, and he was going to be the 1B. It was a huge swing and a miss. Some saw it coming, some didn't. Campbell never really carried the mail in a tough environment ever as a number 1. Right. He now is in the minors. Is it crazy that Ken Holland has left this guy that I think is probably a platoon goalie as the guy that has the chance that Connor has to rely on to win a cup here? Like that forward group, those 2 superstars, 2 years left under contract. That's your best option in net, and Calvin Pickard to 3 his whole career. That's your 2? Am I nuts here?
You're not nuts. You're actually right. But what I would have liked to seen is, like, Pickard actually gave them good minutes. Sure. I would have liked to see, if Skinner's your guy and they pot committed, what they did is they doubled down. With that terrible start, they said, we're going to move Campbell out of the way, and Skinner, you're our guy. You're homegrown. We're going to draft, develop you. We're going to get you to that number 1 status. You have to get the experience. Last year, you played 50. This year, I thought he played too much this year. 59, 60 games. Like, to me, if you want him fresh and you were expecting for a long run, they did rotate him and Pickard a lot down the stretch. But to me, it was a little bit too late. Like, I would have liked to see, and even I'll give you an example. The back-to-back situation, their last 2 games of the season, they play in Arizona. They play Pickard. They rest everybody. They rest the trainers. They rest half the coaching staff. Everybody in Colorado. They start Skinner. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? I don't like. If anything, you play everybody in Arizona, and then you call up an AHL team and say, take the 2 points, Colorado, run us out of the building. And to me, what that did. Now, Skinner, again, I thought he looked really solid in game 1, but statistically, it's going to hurt him. I even said that on SportsCenter afterwards. He had an .891 save percentage in that game, but he had some bad luck. So you follow it up with a good game. He didn't. So now all of a sudden we're going, this guy's allowed 9 goals in 2 games. What the hell's wrong with him? Well, he's got to play better. And he didn't play well last night. So we'll see if he has a response game in LA. He has to. And you're right. Like McDavid and Draisaitl, these guys are relying on him. I do think he's good enough to give them the stable goaltending, but he wasn't last night, and he needs to be, especially in a deep run. If they're going to go in a deep run, your goaltender it can't be a question mark back there. That's Toronto. I guarantee you, today I'll be talking about it. Ilya Samsonov allowed one stinker last night. That's all they're going to talk about.
So, and the career, 14 games in the playoffs, 6 wins, 7 losses, 1 no decision.
Who are we talking about?
Skinner. Okay, 879, 381. 14 games.
And he got pulled 4 times last year in the playoffs. 4. So that, he has something to prove. But they did double down on him. He's their guy. I do like, I will say this, as much as it seems like I'm kicking him in the junk, I do like a lot about his game. He's quiet. He's a big guy. When he's on, he's very positional. He doesn't chase the puck. I think he handles the puck well. He's got to, he can get out and stop it. He can fire it hard. He makes good plays with it. But when he looks off, it looks like he's not trying type of thing, because he's just big and goes down. And if it doesn't hit him, that's it. That's the end of the play. And, we saw that last night. That's a bad goal. Fiala's goal was a bad goal. I know he didn't see it, but it goes through the body and it's kind of wavering and stuff. You need to make these saves, and he didn't.
I think of a team like Vegas where, Aiden Hill comes in and wins a cup with them. Was it Aiden Hill, or was it the team in front of Aiden Hill that just had structure and played hard? I still wonder what kind of goalie. And I'm not quite, I know where Ryan is on this, because it's anything but Edmonton. I still think they win this series. I can see how they lose it, but it would have to be a catastrophe. But when you have to rely on elite level goaltending, it says something about your team.
Yep.
And that Campbell couldn't work, and now Skinner's. I don't know. They're so good, but there's warts there, and when they're exposed, it falls on the goaltender, or it falls on one of the defensemen who made one bonehead play. I don't know. Yeah. What about Toronto? They've played 3 games. I've liked Toronto for a lot of the 3 games, and they're done at 2-1. It's not a huge hole to climb out of, but nothing's easy for them, is it? No. They don't get any benefit of the doubt from the hockey gods, it seems like.
Well, they don't, because there's no sample size or something to go back on and go, do you remember that run? Do you remember this? You remember that? You're right. I think they've been pretty even games. And if you look at game 1, I thought Boston was the better team, just structurally overall. They got the goals, they got the goaltending. Game 2, they call it the Matthews game. It wasn't like Toronto ran him out of the building. It was a 1-goal game, and I thought Ullmark played really well. Like it was kind of a seesaw battle. I thought Samsonov made a couple big saves at the right time, and Matthews makes that incredible play, and they win the game. So you follow that up coming home, and I kept saying, like, everyone's like pointing, well, Toronto's got this, Toronto's that. Like, you can't sleep on Boston. Like, Pasta hasn't even woken up yet. Mm-hmm. Like that, and Marchand had 3 assists coming into it, but he wasn't that, the Brad Marchand. That was the Marchand game last night. If they call it the Matthews game 2, Marchand was littered in that game, and everyone's, well, the reffing. I know we're going to be talking about the reffing today. They got 5 power plays. You know what they went? They went 0 for 5. So yes, Nylander potentially coming back Saturday would help, because that especially helped that power play. But Boston, like, I look at them, they don't panic. They play hard. They got a great goaltender. I think they might follow it up with Ullmark. And
sure they will. Yeah. It's 30 games in a row doing this. Why would they stop now? They're up 2-1.
The thing is if Ullmark can go in and steal one on Saturday, now you go back to Swayman, who's fresh. Like, I keep thinking that, and I know people think it's crazy, but that's what they've done. That's the way their team is built. So mentally, the guys are like, yeah, Jeremy's playing, Linus is playing this one. Like, that's how that team works. And there's been adjustments too. They added 2 defensemen. Now, the Andrew Peeke got injured. But they took out Grzelcyk and they added that Lauko kid, or whatever his name is.
Yep.
He was playing with McAvoy last night, matching up. And he's a big, strong kid, but there was a few times he got exposed. They're asking more of Shattenkirk on that third pairing, and they put in Wotherspoon. who has got some jam, but he's a smaller guy. But you look at it, JVR goes in. Like Boston had some adjustments, like for bringing players and stuff. Like the Leafs, I don't know if there's no healthy adjustments or not. It's like we're rolling back the same group here. I don't know if there's going to be adjustments for Saturday. Obviously, if you add William Nylander, then Nick Robertson comes out, and that's a big plus for the Leafs. But I think the Leafs D are getting exposed too. Like they've got Morgan Riley who can move the puck, and then they've got guys after that, you've got third pairing guys who are just grinding it out, and Joel Edmondson cross-checking and playing hard, and McCabe same thing, Benoit stepping up. They want to be physical. You can have as many hits as you want. You still need to make plays. And, I don't know. I think Leafs are in one. They got to, to me, Saturday's a must win. You can't go down 3-1. You can't go down 3-1.
The funny thing to me, like I agree with Dean, they've been the better team a lot in this series, but they don't look like the smarter team. It's self-inflicted wounds all over. It's dumb penalties. It's letting Marchand get in your head when you know it's Brad Marchand. Of course he's trying to get in your head. Like you can't let him live there rent free and then we were distracted by Marchand and they like, what are you talking about, you idiots? But they're still here without their second best player, you could argue.
Yeah.
A win away.
That's true. And we'll see. But my worry is if the second best player, if he's 80%, and if it's a back or a head or whatever.
Well, there's reporting today on that. We should talk about it. So Elliot just put up on sportsnet.ca a couple of minutes ago that according to multiple sources, Nylander's absence has to do with migraines so severe, doctors tested him to see if he suffered a concussion. So this is not a ligament, a bone, a body issue. This is a migraine headache type thing, which makes it kind of makes more sense, but also makes it more complicated.
Well, is that concussion related? Is that they shut him down for a bit and see if he's got migraine? Like, is that neck issue? Like sometimes I get headaches where, the muscles in your neck, like if you do weights or something, it comes up. Like first and foremost, you hope for the health of the player. But the minute that you think Boston's going to take their foot off the gas and not try and run them through the boards, like that's, I feel bad for you, but I'm going to still play you very hard. Like Marchand and Bertuzzi are buddies. They're just jousting at each other and whacking each other and tripping each other and tackling and all of that type of stuff. They're going to play for keeps both sides. So, you hope that Nylander's all right, but that's a problem if it's migraines because that's not something that's got a timeline. You just kind of hope it feels better,
And that's why it's been so weird that he's taking morning skates and, he's not going to go, but, he'll probably be ready in 2 days. Well, no, now he's not. It's like, the timeline has not made sense. And when you say migraines, it starts to make a little more sense because to your point, there just isn't he'll be ready on this day.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrible. I feel bad for him. He's had a great season and they do, their power play misses him for sure in 5-on-5. I mean, they need the player. And Matthews, I think he took his option in morning skate yesterday. And then Chris Johnston was tweeting out or something that he might've been ill. So I don't know if he's nursing something either, but it's the playoffs.
How is the media coverage? Because
you know what it's like.
It's round one of Toronto. We've done this every year for a decade, right?
It's Toronto. I mean, I don't know if you saw the front cover of the Toronto Sun yesterday. Like I hate that stuff. Like it's clickbait. I read the article. It's not as scathing. It just points out.
No, the article's fine. It's the headline and the cover.
Well, you know what it is Steve Simmons writes the article, and then you get some intern or something, or some guy who the editor who goes, "Hey, we're gonna get a bunch of clicks," and they've got a picture of Marner with no face and an invisible man and all. Like it was just, I don't know. And I said this yesterday, and I wholeheartely believe this. If Marner scored 3 goals last night and was first star, the Sun, you didn't do it. Like the Toronto Sun,
there's no retraction. There's no,
but it's not like there. Like I feel
there's no credit to them. I see what you're saying.
We lit a fire under him. We're the ones. No, Mitch Marner knows that he has more to give. He's a prideful athlete. Like it's not like it's not like okay now that the Sun called me out, now I better play better. So I was like it's different, definitely clickbait. If you're walking by a newsstand and you see it, that's the old school news newsstand.
That's what they're trying to do. Yeah.
Coffee and a donut, and I better get that paper. It looks an interesting
Looks like
article.
you've got that, and then you got Princess Di or something next. It was always like the tabloids, and hey, Elvis is still alive, and Michael Jackson is singing next week.
Bat Boy, who's Bat Boy?
He's
on those two.
Did any one of you guys watch the pregame speech from Keefe?
The pregame, not the post. I watched postgame. I didn't.
No, in the room.
So they had that as part of the
message. And listen, I'm looking for clickbait, I guess. It was flat as hell.
Really?
Like, I think back to playoffs, and after the coach reads the lineup and it's time to go, get out of the way. Like, it's time to stand up and get ready to play.
Well, keep in mind, you've got Daryl what's got froth coming out of his mouth, and it's just like his energy is rubbing off on everybody.
But that's my point to it, though.
Right.
It was even keel, and maybe it's who he is. I just found it surprising the lack of let's go from him and the team.
I wonder how much history plays into that, because he's been around for a few of these already, and he might have played that card and it didn't go well. I feel like context is really important there, right? Because if you only see one speech, you don't know what the other ones are like. You don't know what he's been building towards. You don't know how it went against Florida last year when they thought they were going to win that series.
I'll take the energy instead of like the
deadpan.
Well, just if you're very composed, I get it, but I'd much rather have somebody who's, kind of coming out of his skin. We can do this. I
mean something to him.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I didn't see. It's hard because when you're on camera, and especially here in Toronto, you're trying to be poised and hey, the camera's on. Instead of Bruce Boudreau, when was that when he dropped 400 F-bombs and had pizza stains on his shirt and was fumbling around, and he's a beauty. Like, I love that guy. But
there's been a few of those in Toronto, right? Because it's like
Torts had that good one too with the Rangers. The one
I love Torts' speech. The one time where he's like, "We got to stiffen up. If you don't want to stiffen up, you're not going to play." Like to me, that's energy. Where he comes in and he's talking like even the word "stiffen up." I know exactly what he was talking about. Like, just like dial it in. And if you're going to be, I want you stiff in all three zones. Like, do not give an inch of ice. Like, that speech alone, I loved. But I was motivated a different way. Other guys nowadays, who knows? Like, whether it hits or not. But like, when I heard that Tortorella speech, like I wanted to jump up. And there's difference. Coaches have different tactics. I didn't see it. I'm going to have to go back and look at it, Rhett, because now you got me thinking about it. But, bottom line is the coach shouldn't have to motivate the players, especially in the playoffs, because you should motivate yourself. And it was a physical series. It's been it's been a good series so far. We'll see. But, for me, Saturday night is going to be a pivotal game.
Was it 2 years ago they had the camera crew there and it was like an Amazon or Apple something where they followed the Leafs? I feel like anytime a camera's come around since then, there's just got to be trauma. That was supposed to be the year, and another first round collapse. It was just like, fucking get these goddamn cameras out of here. We're already in the biggest magnifying glass in the sport. And
they follow them like the whole season.
Yes. And they're crying post game, like, get these cameras out of here.
And apparently, like, Amazon's back, right? I was reading that announcement this morning.
Monday nights, yeah.
And, it sounds like they're going to be kind of all over it. I don't mind the access, but it's just hard. Like, the problem is when you get access, not everybody's going to like what they see and hear. So that's the fine line, because I'll give you an example. It's funny. I was in Edmonton the other day and I went to dinner with a couple of buddies, and one of my buddies is a firefighter up there. And he was driving me home after, and we were driving right by the rink, and it was kind of a rough area in Edmonton there. And I said, God, like, how many calls? He goes, we're here 3 times a day. He goes, the drug abuse, all of that type of stuff. And I said, how do you even be a firefighter or a police officer nowadays? And he goes, it's so hard. You got to wear these cameras. Like, the firefighters don't, but the cops do. And my point being, he said, you act differently. Like, he goes, these cameras are on, and he goes, these cops are they're not fighting us. They're fighting criminals and people with guns and weapons and stuff. And you're getting context. Like if they say something or do something in the heat of battle, and then some bleeding heart looks at it later and they're like, oh, you can't treat that guy like that. You have no context to it. So I'm saying, like, I come back to these 24-hour videos and stuff. You want access. I'm sure there's things that I thought and said and did behind closed doors that probably would be frowned upon by others, right?
I lived it, so I totally get it. And what I've always said is that there's guys, that's your safe place. That's where you should be able to go to not worry about someone having a judgment of your thoughts. The dressing room it's the core of it all. And if you don't have the feeling of safety there and support, whoosh, and I don't care. I mean, it's one-offs probably, but it's almost a violation of all things that matter in a dressing
Daryl
room.
would hate it. It's a hard veto from him.
Basically too, nowadays it would feel like you're on Big Brother. The only safe space would be when you're taking a moose. Outside of that, it's like you're, and like the no cameras in the bathroom. Outside of that, like it's like you walk out and you got to stiffen up. You got to make sure that you're on your best behavior, which is weird because eventually you'll see you won't realize the cameras are there, and that's when you let your guard down, and who knows what happens.
Well, and again, you talk about context. One guy who was not concerned, like you say, about context or what did I do last summer, was John Tortorella, as we take a look.
At intermission, the 2-goal deficit is almost incidental, with all the miscues plainly visible on the ice. And the players know that will be their coach's focus in his locker room address.
I asked you to fucking defend. I've seen you fucking defend before, and you're gonna do it here. If that's how we're going to battle, we're not gonna have a chance to win. Jesus Christ, how much time do we have to talk about it? If that's all the juice we have as far as competing against that team, we will get killed tonight. And we have 2 periods here. So I've asked you all to buy into how we have to play. If that's it, we're fucking done. Pack it up. And I know that this fucking team isn't that way. I've seen you. So we have 40 fucking minutes to go. Take each shift at a time and chip away. They are not that good in their end zone. And we know our club. That's the biggest fucking positive of our team is how hard we play. So fucking screw it on straight here. Screw it on and let's be ready to go each shift at a time, okay? So stiffen up here. Everybody, help one another. But I tell you, if you're not going to be stiff, you're not going to play. I'm warning you all. This is a contest here that's a good test for us where we are right now. Quarter of the season's done. Let's see what we are against a stiff hockey team. Let's be ready to go here now. Come on.
It's about 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And how friggin' good is that? It's right? Awesome. And again, we'd have to go back. I don't really know how that ended. I think they did come back and play pretty well. But yeah, you're ready to go through the goddamn wall for that.
Yeah.
Not for that guy, then you can appreciate what he says. Yeah, he's right. Guys, we're better than that. Let's go.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Not Sheldon Keefe pregame, Rhett, is what you're saying.
No.
It was much more muted.
Well, I mean, I will say this. Sheldon down the stretch here has been very honest. Like he's called players out. In past years, when he's called players out, he's kind of gone around the edges and then retracted the next day.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want it to be a big story. It's almost like he's like, listen, we're sinking or swimming. I'm in or I'm out, and I'm doing it my way. Because he's been, game 1, I didn't love that he kind of was like, Max, he basically was like, Max Domi has to be better. The goalie has to be like, he kind of called out some players instead of going, hey, we're going to be fine. Like he was like, this is what went wrong tonight. We were undisciplined. We didn't get a save. We didn't. And it's almost like he's like, to hell with this. Like, I'm just going to speak my mind and see. Like last night, he's lobbying that, now Brad Marchand gets all the calls, and he's an expert at drawing calls and that, and which he is. But you also got 5 power plays. Like that's like if you go 2 for 5, the game looks different. So you can say Brad Marchand's the evil, the bad guy, all of that, doing all these things. They still got 5 power plays. If they had 1 on the night, then I could get behind that. But bottom line is Marchand was impactful last night, and some of the players they relied on to be impactful weren't. That's what it is.
1 for 11 in the series, the Leaf power play. That's not
need Nylander.
Won't do it. So now for you, you're doing your hugely successful afternoon radio show. But is it fair to say that your schedule has slowed down? You're now getting back to a more normal pace?
No, because I'm now doing Sports Center nights at panels and stuff. So, for example, I'll have to do a goalie hit for Sports Center Day, and then I do Overdrive, and then I do this Saturday I'm on the Leaf panel. On Sunday morning, I'm calling an under 18 USA and Slovakia. was just doing my sheets here.
How they looking?
Well, USA just pumped somebody today. It was like 9-0. I was watching. Oh, Slovakia, they tuned them up today. So, I'm doing that, and then I'm doing Sports Center nights next week. I'm basically doing the Edmonton series, so I have to stay late at the studio and watch the game and then do analysis after. So my travel slows down, but my schedule ramps up for right until July 2nd. But I am going to try and get back out to Edmonton at least one more time and visit family and friends and all of that, probably in the next month. If Edmonton makes it through the next round, I will.
Sorry, Ryan, I think you were loading up there.
No, I'm good.
I was just because we're keeping you. I don't want to keep you too long. Did you see the stuff that was going on in Salt Lake yesterday? The rink full of people and the kids lining up to meet the players coming off the plane and that whole thing. Pretty damn cool, right?
It is. It's like they're going to do it up right there. This guy knows, like, I'm not lying. The last time I was on the show, Pinder actually helped change my perspective on it because he gave me good insight onto, you're right. Now you're going to be the number 2 show in the city. Like this owner knows how to do it. You start digging in on the owner. The guy is filthy rich. He puts money into his teams. He seems like he's not, unhinged. And they're going to be fine. Like I talked to a buddy who, I don't know if I told you guys this, who I played in Salt Lake with. He married a girl from there, and he was telling me, it's like, I'm telling you, it's going to kill it here. He goes, there's a fan base here from when we played there. And he said, it's a sports town, and they'll put money into it. He said, it'll be fine. And he talked about the population. He said 30 minutes anywhere around the city, you got 2.5 million people. So he said, you're going to be able to fill that building. And there'll be stability with Ryan Smith. And then Arizona will go back under a new owner, and they'll build a rink in the right spot. And Arizona will be an expansion team or whatever 5 years from now once that guy's deal runs out. Whatever. Yeah,
good owner and average rink is better than good rink and below average owner, I think is what
Never
we're going to see
mind, bad rink, bad owner.
Yeah,
that was the combo they had.
Yeah, that's what they ended up with.
Owner, people
will talk, you only get 14 or the 12,000, you get up to whatever.
Yeah,
it's better. And
there's a new one coming. Come on, boys. Olympics are going there 2034.
Yeah, Utah's going to be a good setup. I think it will be. I was kind of chuckling to some of the players that went in there and that. I was like, well, that guy's not going to be on that team. Why are you even going? Like, I was like, got guys up on the stage talking. I'm like, why is that guy even talking? By October, he's not even going to be on the team.
Yeah. Some guys are so oblivious, eh? It's like, what?
Yeah.
Duh.
Well, I'll say this. That team is young. They got tons of cap space. They have 1 billion picks, and now they've got an owner that wants to make an impression early, and they'll be right to the cap. You can turn that number of picks into all kinds of fancy things.
Yeah, absolutely.
They'll be a team to be reckoned with next year. Like Bill Armstrong's done a really good job there amassing young assets and obviously the cap space because his owner's cheap as shit. At least the old one was.
What have you applied for? Seeing as you kind of a Hall of Fame career down there, like they know you, they want you. What
right?
are you?
Yeah. Once a golden eagle, always a golden eagle, right?
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Yeah.
I should apply for something there. I don't know what I'd be skilled enough to
Come
do.
on, color analyst on the broadcast. Everyone would be tuning in.
Oh,
every other
he's
night.
bigger than that, Pinder. What are you?
You don't want to travel with the team?
This guy. He's taking over
Well,
the
maybe
best
Director of
market in
hockey
the
ops.
world.
Just go right over Armstrong's head.
Why? How many hours a week do you want to work? The broadcasting.
Look at what he works now. This guy's
It's too much. We got to back him off.
I got enough jobs.
You need the Iggy job.
Yeah.
Where you're highly paid. There's a big title. No one really sees
You
you
could be
around. You don't really know
argumentative.
what you're doing.
Yeah,
And then you show up at the draft table and tell everyone what to do.
Yeah.
that's true. I would love the Iggy job, but you have to be a Hall of Famer to do that, and I'm not. So
You in Salt Lake City, you are. Don't you lie to me.
Hall of Fame
there.
broadcaster noodles. That's what I'm saying.
that's you know what? You're right. I'm gonna apply for something, but I don't know. I won't get it.
Can we tell? I don't know if I told this story already about Iggy. Dion's reply to Iggy at the Saddle Dome.
No,
Did I say that to you guys, Boomer?
Yeah. I don't know if we said it on the
air?
show or
Is
not.
that
but
allowed?
yeah. I think
Fire
it's all
away.
right.
You remember it, Noodles?
no.
I better not. I don't want to get Iggy.
All
Where
right.
was it? Where was it? When was it?
We
Is that in
went into
Pittsburgh?
Conroy's office.
Oh yeah. I don't
No.
know if you would share that.
I think you
better
mentioned
not.
it. It was a little jab. It wasn't anything bad.
Well,
I know, but
We better leave it alone.
we'll
It's a
leave it
Hall of
alone.
Fame.
Iggy's got. I was texting with them yesterday, and he's going to Finland because his
Yeah,
son.
Sunday. Byron Ritchie told me because Byron said he had to take care of his kid till he got there, and that he listens to you on your show. He downloads it while he flies over in his pod on first class.
Ooh,
Well,
nice.
yeah, Byron Ritchie is. I think isn't he Tige's agent? Isn't he?
Yeah,
So, yeah.
kind of development agent. He's tied in there. Yeah,
Family advisor. Oh yeah, sure.
and his kid's playing too.
Either way, Tige is going to be a hell of a player. Be interesting to see where he ends up. I saw a meme. I don't know if you guys saw that out of Calgary. It was like Craig Conroy on stage dancing, and it said taking the 9th pick of Tige Iginla. So I don't know. Tige might make it to 9. He might make it sooner or later. I don't know where. I haven't seen where the latest rankings are, and obviously where Calgary is going to land after when it gets.
Well, they got to win the lottery, take Celebrini, and then they got to find that second pick to get Teach. Come on.
That's Rhett's thing is take T and then have another pick, either first overall or get another one so that you can have your cake. Yeah.
Well, if you trade the goalie, you get a first rounder, right?
So who in the top 12 wants a goalie that's that age? There might be one team.
Where's Jersey going to pick again?
Well, what? But they have Jake Allen. So what are they doing here? Like, I just feel like their best offers passed. Am I crazy?
Why can't you have Markstrom and Jake Allen?
Well, I don't think that works with their cap structure because now it's like you're close to $10 million on 2 goalies, not 4.
Don't poo-poo my shitty idea. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Don't.
I think it's a great idea. I just don't think that's the team.
What does
I'll look at the
Jake
draft
make?
order.
Is he at 2.8?
I thought he's more than that. But
No, I think he signed an extension in Montreal at a lower rate to stay.
well, let's look.
Take a peek.
But yeah, I just thought when they went and got him, it's like, okay, they have these young kids like Dawes and Schmid. One of them's going to back up, and Allen's already there with term. Their need for Markstrom drops significantly, whereas a team like LA or say Colorado, like those are the teams going to come over the top for
creative.
Well, they should. You're right. You're right on LA and Colorado. If Georgie 5 doesn't put his gear on, but he was good the other night.
It was good.
Now I can't claim credit for this, but it's Georgiev, but Rob Brown in Edmonton calls him Georgie 5 because there's a V at the end.
Yeah,
I think it's brilliant. I'm like,
I was trying to piece that together when you said it. Yeah,
I'm running with it. I think it's brilliant. So I can't take credit for it, but I'm like Georgie 5. I think is an awesome name. So,
yeah, Allen makes 3.85, but the Habs retained half, so he's under 2 to Jersey. So they would have room for him and Markstrom.
they would have room, and you'd be interesting to see who in the offset season loads up and takes another run. And that's where probably Connie was saying, hey, if it didn't work at the deadline, let's see what it looks like in the draft or at, in the off season here, once there's musical chairs. Again, Cam Talbot, he stands on his head and gets through but he's unrestricted too.
Yep.
LA has zero
No
goalies contract for next year. So they're going to need guys.
Yeah.
And Colorado, they've got Annunen, the Justus Annunen, whose head is like a massive, bigger than Christoph Oluwa's.
Really?
Oh my God.
Pumpkin.
huge head. I walk by him. I'm like, God, that guy's head is huge. But he's a big goalie, and he looks like he's got. And they got the other kid, Prosetsov, Prosetsov. They called him up. He's a monster too. But I don't know if these guys are everyday guys. They're still developing, right? So
get someone hot for a month. You'll be fine, Colorado.
Exactly.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.